1 month after spending $35,000 on my daughter Cordelia's dream wedding, the photographer called me with a trembling voice. "Mr. Blackwood, I found something devastating in the photos. You need to see this immediately alone. And whatever you do, don't tell Cordelia I called." What she showed me that day helped me uncover a horrifying secret about my own family. Before I reveal what those devastating photos showed me, drop a comment telling us where in the world you're watching this story unfold, and whether you've ever had your trust betrayed by someone close to you. That Monday morning started peacefully in my Mill Valley office. Coffee steaming quarterly reports spread across my desk. Blackwood Interiors had been my life's work, 3 locations across Marin County, built over 40 years of hard work. At 67, the numbers still looked good, better than good. Then my phone rang, unknown number. "Mr. Blackwood," the woman's voice trembled. "This is Raven Sinclair. I photographed your daughter's wedding last month. I need to see you immediately. Alone. Please don't tell Cordelia I called." My mind flashed to Cordelia's perfect day at Cavallo Point Lodge. 300 guests, Golden Gate Bridge, views everything flawless. Alaric in his tuxedo, my daughter, radiant in grandmother's pearls. Before I could respond, my office door opened. Cordelia walked in designer heels, clicking that confident marketing executive smile lighting her face. "Daddy," she kissed my cheek. "Hope you don't mind me dropping by." I ended the call quickly, heart racing. "What brings you here, sweetheart?" She settled into the leather chair, crossing her legs with practiced elegance. "Alaric and I found the most incredible house in Sausalito. 4 bedrooms. Bay views absolutely perfect. Here it comes. We need $25,000 for the down payment. You understand, right? After everything you invested in our wedding, this is just the next step." 25,000, said like borrowing my car. My phone rang again. Marcus Sterling, my business partner for 15 years. "Ezra, buddy, you sound stressed lately. Everything okay with the family situation?" How did Marcus know about any family situation? I hadn't mentioned anything to him. "Just the usual," I said carefully. "Listen, if you need help financial or otherwise, I'm here. Sometimes it's easier to consolidate when family pressures mount up." After hanging up, something hollow opened in my chest. The same feeling from Cordelia's wedding reception, watching her and Alaric work the room like politicians. Something had felt off then, too. Now, with my daughter expecting $25,000 and Marcus offering unsolicited help, that hollow feeling expanded. I looked at Cordelia, really looked. The expectant smile, the assumption of my agreement, the casual mention of my wedding investment as justification for more. "Let me think about it," I said. Her smile flickered. "Think about it, Dad. We can't lose this house. The market moves fast." I needed to call Raven back. Whatever she'd found in those wedding photos, I had a sinking feeling it would explain why my own family felt like strangers playing a game I didn't understand. The pieces were already moving, and I was just beginning to realize I might be the target. The drive to downtown Mill Valley felt endless. Every red light stretched into eternity as one question hammered through my mind. What could possibly be wrong with wedding photos? Raven's studio occupied a converted warehouse in the Arts District, professional photographs lining exposed brick walls. She met me at the entrance, mid-40s, with nervous hands and apologetic eyes that wouldn't meet mine. "Mr. Blackwood, thank you for coming." That same tremor from our phone call. "I have everything ready in the editing room." The smaller room was dominated by large monitors and computer equipment. Wedding portfolios stacked on shelves, afternoon light filtering through dusty windows. "I almost didn't call," she said, settling at her computer while I stood behind her chair. "I went back and forth for days, but if I were in your position, I'd want to know." The monitor filled with familiar images, Cordelia walking down the aisle, Alaric at the altar, guests smiling. Everything beautiful, everything perfect. "These are what everyone saw," Raven said softly. She clicked to another folder. 2 hours before the ceremony, I was at Cavallo Point, early testing exposures through a window. The image appeared, my world shattered. Alaric in his tuxedo, unbuttoned, disheveled, pressed against a woman with striking red hair. Not my daughter. Kissing her passionately, hands tangled in her hair, bodies pressed together. Intimate, possessive, familiar. My grip tightened on her chair. "How long before the ceremony?" 2 hours exactly. She pulled up technical data. Date-time GPS coordinates. I captured this accidentally, but it's absolutely real. More photos. Different angles, same betrayal. In one shot, the woman's left hand was clearly visible against Alaric's chest. Gold wedding band, diamond solitaire. She was married to someone else. "Do you recognize her?" "She wasn't on the guest list. I checked every name." Another image showed Alaric's face clearly. No confusion, no guilt, just confidence. A man who knew exactly what he was doing 2 hours before, promising to love and honor my daughter. The timing is certain. Forensic level proof. She opened windows showing metadata, GPS coordinates, timestamps. This would hold up in any court. She handed me a flash drive. Everything's here. All photos, technical documentation, copies of everything. I closed my fist around it, the weight enormous despite its size. I don't know what you'll do with this, but you deserve to know the truth. You did the right thing I managed. The drive home passed in a blur. Alaric Kane, investment advisor, everything I'd wanted for Cordelia. Betraying her hours before their wedding with another man's wife. Not cold feet, not a mistake. Calculated, deliberate. Why marry her at all? Why go through with a $35,000 ceremony if you were cheating hours beforehand? What was the point? The flash drive felt like lead in my pocket as I pulled into my driveway. Same house, same landscaping, but nothing would ever be the same. As I approached the front door, Delilah's voice drifted from an upstairs window. My younger daughter on the phone, laughing with someone, her tone bright and excited. Too excited, too pleased. I paused on my doorstep listening. Something in her voice made my blood chill. The same calculating tone I'd heard from Cordelia that morning when she'd asked for $25,000. The same tone people used when they thought they were winning. I stood there with evidence of one betrayal in my pocket, listening to what sounded suspiciously like another conspiracy unfolding above my head. The pieces of some larger game I was only beginning to understand. Whatever Delilah was discussing so enthusiastically, I had a sinking certainty it involved me, my money, and plans I knew nothing about. The flash drive suddenly felt like the first piece of a much larger, much darker puzzle. I stood frozen on my front porch key, halfway to the lock. Delilah's voice carried clearly through her open bedroom window, animated and gleeful. "Yeah, Dad's been acting weird lately," she was saying, phone on speaker. "But don't worry, sis. Ben and I can stretch this another 6 months, easy. By then he'll cave and buy us that condo just to get rid of us." My hand dropped. Cordelia's voice crackled through the speaker crystal clear. "Perfect. I've got 2 more months playing devoted wife, then I file for divorce. Half those wedding gifts are legally mine under California law. Alaric already agreed to our 60-40 split." I backed away from the door, moving along the side of the house where landscaping would hide me. The flash drive in my pocket felt radioactive. "How much did you guys pull in?" Delilah asked. $30,000 in cash and checks. "Easiest money I ever made." Cordelia's laugh was sharp. "Dad's so busy feeling proud of my successful marriage that he can't see what's happening. $30,000. My business associates, longtime friends, people who'd watched Cordelia grow up, they'd opened their hearts for what they thought was love. Instead, they'd funded an elaborate con. Speaking of Dad being blind," Cordelia continued, "Marcus called this afternoon. Perfect timing. Dad's getting pressure from all sides, your housing situation. My house request, general family stress. Marcus thinks he can buy Blackwood Interiors for $1.2 million when Dad gets desperate. The world spun. Marcus Sterling. 15 years of partnership trust, shared dreams. He was orchestrating this." "Brilliant," Delilah said. "Keep Dad distracted with my car demands and Ben's brewery schemes. Make my stuff seem reasonable so your 25 grand request looks modest. Classic psychology. Start high, settle for what you actually wanted." I pressed against the house mind, reeling. This wasn't dysfunction, this was warfare. Coordinated, planned. They'd been strategizing my destruction for months. "How long have you and Marcus been working together?" "Since before my engagement. He approached me at that charity gala, said he'd been watching Dad's business model. Once I mentioned wedding plans, everything clicked. Before the engagement. Cordelia had planned to divorce Alaric before marrying him. The affair photos made perfect sense. Now everyone had their own agenda in this fake marriage. And Alaric's fine with this. He gets his cut, I get mine. We both walk away clean. His girlfriend thinks he's finally leaving his difficult wife. She has no idea the marriage was fake from day one. My chest tightened. 3 separate cons running simultaneously. Cordelia and Alaric's wedding scam. Delilah and her boyfriend's freeloading exit strategy. Marcus's business takeover using family pressure as leverage. All of them using me. All of them laughing. "I should go," Cordelia said. "Alaric and I have another house viewing tomorrow. Got to maintain appearances for 8 more weeks. Love you, sis. This is going to work perfectly." "Love you too. Tell Ben I said hi." The call ended. Delilah's footsteps crossed her room, humming contentedly, pleased with the family she was systematically destroying. I remained pressed against my own house flash drive burning in my pocket. She had no idea I'd heard everything. None of them did. They thought they were playing chess while I played checkers. They thought I was the mark, the easy target, the wallet with legs, who'd eventually cave to their coordinated pressure. They were wrong. For 40 years I'd built Blackwood Interiors from nothing. I'd survived recessions, competitors, market crashes. I'd negotiated with suppliers who tried to cheat me, employees who tried to steal from me, contractors who thought they could take advantage of a nice guy. I was still standing. They were still gone. My daughters and my business partner had made one critical error. They'd underestimated me. They saw kindness as weakness, generosity as stupidity, love as vulnerability. Tomorrow I'd start showing them the difference between a father and a fool. The flash drive in my pocket wasn't just evidence anymore. It was ammunition. I barely slept. By 7 the next morning, I was heading to First National Bank in downtown Mill Valley. 40 years of building a company had taught me one crucial lesson when someone tries to cheat you. Gather evidence first, then strike back with overwhelming force. Patricia Williams, my banking relationship manager for 2 decades, greeted me in her office with professional warmth. "Mr. Blackwood, what brings you in so early? I need to verify account information." My daughter Cordelia's joint account with her husband. When exactly was it opened? Her fingers clicked across the keyboard. Here it is. Cordelia Blackwood Kane and Alaric Kane. Opened May 15th. 2 months before the wedding. Not years like normal engaged couples. 2 months. Specifically timed for gift collection. Anything unusual about the setup? They requested expedited processing, said they had a wedding coming up and wanted to streamline gift deposits. Patricia smiled. Young couples are so organized these days. Organized. Perfect word for fraud. My phone buzzed. Marcus Sterling. "Excuse me." I stepped into the hallway. "Ezra, buddy." False cheer dripped through the speaker. "Heard Cordelia's looking at houses in Sausalito. Expensive market. Everything okay financially?" How did he know about Sausalito? I'd mentioned it to no one. "We're managing. Listen, if you need capital, now's perfect timing to consolidate. The furniture market's brutal with online competition. What if I took Blackwood Interiors off your hands? Fair market value. Maybe 1.2, 1.3 million. 1.2 million, exactly Cordelia's number from last night. I'm not looking to sell, Marcus. Think about it. Family pressures, housing costs, daughters getting established. Sometimes it's smarter to liquidate while you can still get good price." After hanging up, I sat in my truck, mind racing. Marcus hadn't coincidentally called. The Sausalito reference wasn't luck, it was coordination proof. At the Marin County Recorder's office, I spent 2 hours reviewing property records. What I found was devastating. Over 6 months, Marcus had purchased 3 commercial properties within 2 miles of my Mill Valley location. Not for his business shell companies with unfamiliar names. He was building a retail stranglehold around my flagship store, positioning to crush my customer base once he owned my company. The timeline was damning. January property acquisitions begin March, Cordelia's engagement, May joint bank account, July wedding, August. My family crisis. This wasn't opportunistic greed. This was a year-long calculated destruction plan. I searched estate planning attorney Marin County. Thaddeus Noble appeared first, 25 years in asset protection and family law. Available at 2 o'clock. As I dialed, I thought about my daughter's laughter last night, planning my downfall. They'd made one critical error, assuming I was weak, naive, easily manipulated. They were about to discover that surviving 4 decades in business requires different skills than they'd imagined. I hadn't weathered recessions and competitors by being nice. I'd survived by being smarter, tougher, and more prepared than anyone who tried to take what was mine. Building Blackwood Interiors from nothing had required strategic thinking, careful planning, and ruthless execution when threatened. Those same skills would serve me well now. Thaddeus Noble's office. I need an emergency consultation today. Asset protection and family law. Nature of the emergency. I looked at property records spread across my passenger seat, felt the flash drive in my jacket pocket, remembered my daughter's casual cruelty as they carved up my life's work. Someone's trying to steal everything I've built over 40 years, and I have all the evidence I need to stop them. The game had changed. They thought they were playing chess while I played checkers. But they'd forgotten something important. I'd been playing chess since before they were born. Now it was my move. Thaddeus Noble's office occupied the 23rd floor overlooking San Francisco Bay. Mid-50s gray temples, firm handshake, exactly what I needed. "Mr. Blackwood, you mentioned asset protection. Tell me what's happening." I placed my folder on his desk. 1 month ago, I paid $35,000 for my daughter's wedding. 3 days ago, the photographer showed me pictures of my son-in-law with another woman 2 hours before the ceremony. Yesterday, I discovered my daughter planned this marriage to collect and split cash gifts. Noble's pen paused. You have evidence both parties intended divorce from the beginning. I overheard my younger daughter 2 more months playing happy wife than I file. Half the gifts are legally mine. Alaric already agreed to 60-40 split. I slid the flash drive across. Affair photos with metadata timestamps, GPS coordinates. Noble reviewed the files, jaw tightening. And your younger daughter, living in my house, 4 years no rent. Plans to stretch it another 6 months until I buy them a condo. I showed my property research notes. Worse, my business partner's been coordinating with them acquiring properties around my store, planning a hostile takeover when family pressure makes me desperate. A woman entered carrying portfolios. Minerva Stone, estate planning specialist. Mr. Blackwood. Noble said, we can create an irrevocable trust, transferring your assets into professional management. You maintain control during your lifetime, but after death, distribution follows your instructions. Much harder to challenge than a will. How soon? Today. My fees for trust creation eviction notices and business restructuring $8,500. I'd lost $65,000 to their schemes already. Acceptable. Over 2 hours I signed documents protecting everything I'd built. House business investments, all moving into legal fortress. Upon death, Minerva explained, your daughters receive minimum required by law. Remainder goes to chosen charities. The eviction, Noble showed pre-drafted forms. 30-day notice. No lease means they're overstaying guests. California protects property owners. My business, trust ownership makes forced sales impossible. Your partner can offer all he wants legally, you can't sell even if pressured. Signing the final documents, something twisted in my chest finally straightened. For the first time since Cordelia's wedding, I felt like myself again. Thank you for giving me my life back. Walking to the elevator with legal copies, I thought about Delilah and her boyfriend, lounging in my house planning their next demands. They had no idea what was coming. 40 years building Blackwood interiors had taught me patience, strategy, and timing. I'd weathered economic downturns by staying calm and striking when opponents were overconfident. My family had made the classic mistake they'd assumed victory before the game was over. They thought they were playing chess while I fumbled with checkers. They were wrong. Tonight I'd serve eviction notices. Tomorrow they'd discover the difference between a generous father and someone they could manipulate indefinitely. The trust documents in my briefcase weren't just legal protection, they were a declaration of independence. After months of feeling helpless while my own family carved up my life's work, I finally held the winning hand. They'd started this war assuming I was weak, naive, easily controlled. Time to show them what 4 decades of business survival actually looked like. The elevator descended toward the parking garage, and I smiled for the first time in weeks. Let the real game begin. Friday evening. Legal documents secured in my briefcase, 2 sealed envelopes waiting on my kitchen counter. After 48 hours of investigation and preparation time for the opening move, voices drifted from the living room, Delilah and Xander plotting their next financial extraction. Perfect timing. I found them sprawled across my leather furniture like royalty, completely comfortable in their assumption that I'd continue funding their dreams indefinitely. Craft breweries are exploding right now, Xander gestured enthusiastically. Phoenix Market's perfect for artisanal beer. Maybe 30,000 startup, but your dad would see returns within a year. Easy money. Delilah tucked her legs under her, laughing. He'll do it. He always does. Frame it as helping family build something meaningful and he'll write the check. I stepped into the room, carrying both envelopes. They looked up with expectant smiles, expressions of people who thought they had me completely figured out. What's this, Dad? Delilah picked up her envelope. We were discussing Ben's brewery idea. You'll love... Open it. She tore the seal, unfolded the official letterhead. Her face went white. What the hell? Xander grabbed his copy, scanned it, then shot upright. Eviction notice. Are you insane, old man? This is our home. This is my house. You can't evict family. Delilah's voice cracked, tears starting. Dad, what are you doing? I'm your daughter. How can you throw us out like strangers? You haven't paid rent in 4 years. You see me as an ATM, not a father. Time to grow up. Xander stepped forward, fists clenched, face crimson. This is crazy. We're not going anywhere. Everyone will know what kind of father you are, abandoning your own kid. I remained motionless, recognizing the bluff. 40 years of business negotiations had taught me to spot intimidation tactics. The notice is legal, 30 days. Start packing. Dad, please. Delilah grabbed my arm. We can work this out. We'll pay rent. I gently removed her grip. You had 4 years to offer rent. Now you have 30 days. Turning toward my office, I left them staring at legal documents. Chaos erupted behind me, Delilah wailing, Xander shouting furniture scraping. "You'll regret this," Xander's voice echoed down the hallway. "You'll regret this." I closed my office door, locked it audibly, and settled at my desk. Through the walls, frantic whispers, then Delilah's phone call. "Jackie, emergency. Dad just served eviction papers. 30 days. Pause. I don't know what happened. He was ice cold like we were strangers. Longer pause. Okay, tomorrow. Bring Alaric. We need damage control." More murmuring, then Xander's voice lower but venomous. "He's going to pay for this." I opened my laptop, pulled up a calendar. Day 1 of 30. They assumed this was about the house about punishment. They had no clue I was protecting everything business assets, dignity, future. Tomorrow they'd coordinate their counterattack. Cordelia would arrive with Alaric armed with psychological manipulation, financial pressure, maybe manufactured medical crises. Every trick in their extensive playbook. What they didn't realize I'd already won. Trust established business protected their timeline for destroying my life, cut to 30 days. 4 years they'd treated my home like a hotel, my wallet like their personal bank account. 4 years of assumptions, entitlement, casual disrespect. Those days were over. Let them coordinate. Let them scheme. Let them deploy their finest manipulation strategies. I had legal fortress recorded evidence, and most crucially, I was no longer the same man who'd been bankrolling their betrayal. The war was beginning, and for the first time in years, I controlled the battlefield. Saturday evening. My phone had been ringing all day, Cordelia's voice increasingly desperate on the voicemails. "Dad, we need to talk. This eviction thing has gone too far. I'm coming over with Alaric tonight. We're going to sort this out as a family." When they arrived at 7, the tension was immediate. Delilah's eyes were red from crying. Xander paced like a caged animal, and Cordelia wore her business meeting expression, the one she used when closing difficult deals. "Dad, sit down," Cordelia commanded, gesturing toward my own living room chair. "We need to discuss this situation rationally." I remained standing. "What situation?" "The eviction notices," Alaric said, his investment advisor voice smooth and diplomatic. "Ezra family disputes happen, but legal action, that seems extreme." Xander stopped pacing, pointed at me. "Extreme. He's throwing us out like garbage after everything we've done for this family." "What exactly have you done, Xander?" I asked calmly. Delilah jumped up from the couch. "Dad, please. I know we haven't been perfect, but we're family. Families work through problems together." Cordelia stepped forward, taking control. "Here's what we're going to do. You're going to tear up those eviction papers. Delilah and Xander will start paying reasonable rent, say $800 a month. Everyone wins. And in return, I asked, we help you with this house. It's too big for one person. The market's strong right now. We could get excellent value. You could buy something smaller, more manageable." There it was. The real agenda. Marcus Sterling mentioned he might be interested in helping with your business transition too, Alaric added. "Consolidation makes sense at your age." I walked to my desk, picked up the manila folder I'd prepared. "Before we discuss my future, there's something you all should see." "Dad, we're trying to help you," Cordelia said impatiently. I placed the folder on the coffee table between us. "Open it." Cordelia hesitated, then lifted the cover. Her face went white as she stared at the first photograph. "What is this?" Delilah asked. "Pictures of Alaric with another woman, 2 hours before your sister's wedding." Alaric lurched backward. You can't." "I can prove the timing with metadata. GPS coordinates, timestamps." I looked directly at Cordelia. "But here's what's really interesting. I also overheard your phone conversation with Delilah yesterday." Delilah's hand flew to her mouth. "Let me quote, 2 more months playing happy wife, then I file for divorce. Half the gifts are legally mine. Alaric already agreed to 60-40 split." The room exploded. "You spied on us," Xander shouted. "You had no right." Delilah sobbed. Cordelia's voice cut through the chaos ice cold. "Even if that were true, you can't prove—" "I can prove everything, including Marcus Sterling's coordination with you. Bank records showing your joint account opened 2 months before the wedding. Property records showing Marcus acquiring locations around my business." I stood straighter. This wasn't family dysfunction. This was organized fraud. Alaric tried to speak, but I held up my hand. "Which brings me to my announcement. I've created an irrevocable trust. My house business and savings are legally protected. When I die, you'll receive the minimum required by law. Nothing more." Cordelia shot to her feet. "You can't do this. We're your daughters." "You're criminals who happen to share my DNA." Xander stepped toward me, fists clenched. "You'll regret this, old man. Everyone will know what you really are." I looked around the room at Cordelia's calculating fury, Alaric's desperate panic, Delilah's manipulative tears, Xander's impotent rage. What am I exactly, a man who worked 40 years to build something, or a fool who lets his family steal it? I walked toward my office. You have 14 days to find new housing. Use them wisely. Behind me, chaos erupted, shouting accusations, desperate bargaining. I closed my office door, turned the lock, and for the first time in months, smiled. They'd called this meeting thinking they could pressure me into submission. Instead, they'd given me the perfect opportunity to destroy their conspiracy completely. 30 days. I pulled into my driveway at 10 that morning to find Sheriff Martinez's patrol car already waiting. Thaddeus Noble's sedan followed 30 seconds behind. We'd coordinated this carefully official legal no room for argument or manipulation. Deputy Martinez stepped out mid-40s, experienced professional. We'd spoken twice by phone. He understood the situation completely. Mr. Blackwood. He shook my hand firmly. Let's get this done. Thaddeus joined us briefcase in hand, wearing the satisfied expression of an attorney whose legal strategy had worked flawlessly. Everything's in order. The eviction notice was properly served 30 days ago. They're officially trespassing now. We approached my front door together. I knocked 3 firm raps on my own house. Silence. Then Xander's muffled voice. Go away, you can't do this. Martinez stepped forward, hand resting casually on his duty belt. This is Deputy Martinez with the Marine County Sheriff's Office. I'm here to enforce a legal eviction order. Open the door immediately, or I'll be forced to open it myself. Refusing becomes criminal trespass. A long pause. Whispered arguments inside. Finally, the door cracked open. Delilah's face appeared eyes red and defiant panic, barely masked by anger. Martinez pushed the door wider, entered professionally. Thaddeus and I followed. The living room looked like a disaster zone. Clothes scattered everywhere, pizza boxes stacked on my coffee table, empty beer cans, absolute chaos. But no packed boxes. Nothing ready for departure. You folks weren't planning on leaving today, were you? Martinez surveyed the mess, making notes. We need more time. Delilah's voice pitched high. We can't possibly... Ma'am, you've had 30 days. 2 hours to collect personal belongings, clothes, personal items only. No furniture, no fixtures. The clock starts now. What followed was frantic desperation in slow motion. Delilah cramming clothes into garbage bags, sobbing intermittently. Xander throwing possessions into duffel bags with violent movements, muttering curses under his breath. During their chaos, my phone rang. Marcus Sterling. Ezra, I heard about the eviction. This has gone too far. Let me help mediate. Marcus, I know about your coordination with Cordelia, your property acquisitions around my business, your plan to buy Blackwood interiors when family pressure made me desperate. I kept my voice level, watching Xander struggle with an overstuffed bag. We're done. Permanently. You're making a massive mistake, Ezra. You'll need me eventually. This family drama will destroy your business focus. I'm offering you a way out. The only mistake was trusting you for 15 years. I hung up, blocked his number immediately. 2 hours later, they carried their final bags to Xander's beat-up sedan. At the car, Delilah turned for one last manipulation attempt. You'll regret this, Dad. When you're old and alone and need help, don't come crying to us. I met her eyes calm and certain. I won't. They drove away, taking their drama, their demands, their systematic destruction of my peace with them. I stood in my doorway, my house truly mine for the first time in 4 years. Martinez handed me paperwork. They're officially out. If they return without permission, call immediately. That's criminal trespass. After everyone left, I walked through the house slowly. Living room where Xander had sprawled for years. Kitchen where Delilah had made her endless demands. Upstairs where they'd plotted my financial destruction. Empty now, all of it, mine. That evening, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Alaric, Ezra, I know you know about the divorce plans. Look, this whole marriage was complicated. I can make this worth your while, 10,000 to let everything proceed quietly. No drama. I read it once, deleted. It blocked the number. $10,000 to stay silent while they completed their fraud. Even now, even caught, they thought everything had a price. I walked to my kitchen window, looked out over Mill Valley. The sun was setting behind the hills, painting everything gold. My house, my view, my peace. For 4 years, I'd shared this space with people who saw me as a resource to exploit. Now the silence felt profound, complete, earned. Freedom, I discovered, sounded exactly like quiet. 3 weeks of solitude had taught me something profound, the difference between being alone and being lonely. I sat on my terrace that Tuesday morning, coffee steaming in crisp October air, watching sunrise paint the Mill Valley hills gold. The silence was complete. No Xander's television blaring, no Delilah's dramatic phone calls, No schemes being hatched while I paid the bills. Just morning birds, distant traffic, and my own thoughts for the first time in 4 years. My routine had emerged naturally. Wednesday guitar lessons with a patient instructor who didn't care I was starting at 67. Friday volunteer shifts at the senior center, fixing furniture for people who appreciated help instead of demanding it. Business thriving without Marcus's partnerships. Turns out I'd been successful 40 years without his coordination. The phone rang. Raven Sinclair. Mr. Blackwood, I hope you don't mind calling. I've been wondering how everything turned out after that day in my studio. Genuine concern, not the calculated warmth I'd grown accustomed to from family. Raven, I'm glad you called. Things worked out exactly as they needed to. I wasn't sure showing you those photos was right. Sometimes truth causes more pain. You gave me truth when everyone else fed me lies. That's never wrong. We talked 20 minutes. Photography Mill Valley's changes courage required to start over at any age. When she suggested coffee, just as friends, I found myself anticipating conversation with someone who wanted nothing except company. After hanging up, I reflected on the journey. 4 months ago, I'd been funding my own destruction, believing family loyalty meant accepting any treatment. The photographer's call shattered that illusion but saved my life. Marcus had attempted contact twice, both ignored. Business restructured, protected, thriving. He could acquire nearby properties, all he wanted. I wasn't selling, wasn't desperate, wasn't the easy target he'd calculated. Cordelia and Alaric divorced as planned, but lawyers took most wedding gift money in fees. Ironic justice. They'd schemed to collect cash, ended up paying attorneys to divide what remained. Delilah found a studio apartment, took a marketing job. According to mutual friends, she was working, paying rent, functioning without a safety net. Maybe eviction was the best thing that happened to her. Trust documents sat in my desk, signed and sealed. Every asset protected, every decision mine. No one could manipulate me into selling or surrendering what I'd built. More than financial security, I'd reclaimed something invaluable, self-respect. For years, I'd confused generosity with weakness, love with enabling loyalty with accepting abuse. I thought saying no made me selfish, setting boundaries made me cruel. The truth was simpler. People who truly love you don't systematically destroy your peace for their benefit. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, Cordelia's new one. I deleted without reading. Whatever she wanted now didn't matter. I'd learned to distinguish between loneliness and solitude, between family and people, sharing my DNA, between generosity and foolishness. The sunrise was complete. Mill Valley spread below like a promise. Guitar tomorrow, coffee with Raven next week, volunteer Friday. Life built on my terms with people who valued honesty over manipulation. At 67, I was learning what freedom meant, the right to say no, power to choose who deserved my energy peace from living authentically. Building Blackwood interiors had required vision, persistence, and courage. Rebuilding my personal life required the same skills, but the reward was infinitely greater. I'd spent 4 decades creating financial security. Now I was creating something more precious. A life where every relationship was genuine, every boundary was respected, and every day belonged entirely to me. The morning light caught my coffee cup steam, rising like incense for a new beginning. Somewhere in the distance, a church bell chimed 8 times. Time for a new chapter. Time for authentic living. Time for relationships built on mutual respect instead of financial dependency. The next chapter was mine to write, and I finally knew what story I wanted to tell. Looking back at my story, I realized how close I came to losing everything I'd worked for. Don't be like me. Don't wait until you're being systematically betrayed before you recognize the warning signs. When family members see you as an ATM rather than a person, when they coordinate their demands, when they show no gratitude for your generosity, those are red flags you cannot ignore. This true story taught me that enabling isn't love, it's actually a form of harm. I thought I was being a good father by never saying no, but I was creating entitled adults who couldn't function independently. God gave us wisdom to set boundaries, and I should have used it sooner. Like many grandpa stories from my generation, we confuse kindness with weakness, but true strength sometimes means disappointing people who expect you to fund their poor choices. The hardest lesson, family, isn't defined by blood. It's defined by respect, gratitude, and genuine love. When I finally stood up for myself, God showed me what real peace looked like. This true story isn't unique. Countless grandpa stories echo similar themes of family manipulation and financial abuse. If you're facing similar manipulation, document everything, seek legal protection, and remember you're not obligated to fund anyone else's lifestyle regardless of DNA. Your hard-earned money deserves the same protection you'd give any valuable asset. This true story proves that it's never too late to reclaim your dignity and demand the respect you deserve. What's your experience with family financial boundaries? Have you ever felt manipulated by loved ones? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more real grandpa stories that inspire and educate. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest content.